So last time we were together, we talked about the law of cosines, where the angle we're looking for is opposite of the side. The side is opposite the angle we're looking for on each side of the equation, okay? And then the other two sides are what you put here and here, okay? So, C, since C is involved, C is 40 degrees, A is 7, B is 10. Law of cosines, I want to figure out what C is, so I say C squared all along on this side equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of C. So C squared equals, what do I put in for A? 7 squared. What do I put in for B? 10 squared minus 2 times 7 times 10 cosine of 40. Then I grab my graphing calculator. You guys grab your normal calculators. Unless you're Lindsay, then you can grab a graphing calculator. And go 7 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 7 times 10 cosine of 40. You hit the answer, and C squared equals 41.75. But that's what C squared is, not what C is. To find C, you go second square root, second answer, and you have this same button on your calculators, this minus sign down here that says answer above it. So second square root, second answer, and hit equals. And you get 6.46. So C equals 6.5, thrown to the nearest tenth. So to find a side is completely easy, okay? Finding an angle, not quite so easy, okay? So the optimal tilt for a solar panel is between 58 and 60 degrees to the horizontal. Has he placed his in the right position? So we want to know what angle P is. Okay, we want to know what angle P is. So the opposite of angle P is side P. So it's going to be P squared equals Q squared plus R squared minus 2 times Q times R cosine of P. So we can fill out the numbers, because this is P, this is Q, and this is R. So 19 squared equals 18 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 18 times 20 cosine of P. What's the issue here? Why can't we just type this straight into our calculators? Because the variable's on the complicated side. We got to get that alone somehow. That's the problem. Okay? So, let's multiply all this out. What's 19 squared, somebody? 361 equals 18 squared. 324 plus 400 minus 2 times 18 times 20. 2 times 18 times 20, a little less than, 720 cosine of P. Now, it would be really nice if we could take 324 plus 400 and minus 720. But notice, these are being multiplied. If you have 6 equals 2 plus 5 minus 4P, you would add the 2 and 5 together to solve it, right? But then you would subtract 7. You wouldn't take 7 minus 4 is 3P. Okay, so that's the same with this. Okay, so you have to add up 324 and 400, which is 724 minus 720 cosine of P. But we can't take 724 minus 720. We have to move the 724 to the other side first. So you have to take 361 minus 724, which is negative 363, and then we divide by a negative 720. So the cosine of p equals some crazy decimal that's close to 0.5. What is the decimal to 4 decimal places? 0.5041. And then to figure out p, you have to move the cosine to the other side, so it becomes the inverse cosine. So you push second cosine, second answer, if you got that. Or the inverse cosine of 0.5041. And what does p equal? 59.72. Is it in between 58 and 60? Yes, so it works. Yes, it works. Okay, so finding angles is rather difficult. It takes a little more time. So what I would do is plug in all my numbers, 28, 30, and 32, and go, well, if I want angle A, it's the first one. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. If you don't know where those equations are, they're on your worksheet that we went over today. Okay? So, A is 28. 28 squared equals B, which is 30 squared, plus C, which is 32 squared, minus 2 times 30 times 32 cosine of A. Okay? Now, some of you smarticuses will figure out that you can take this squared minus this squared divided by all this all in one shot. Okay? But if you didn't figure that out, it's too easy to make a mistake if you try that. Okay? So, let's just multiply it out and then do the work one step at a time. So, 28 squared is 784. So 784 equals 900 plus 32 squared is what? 1024 minus 2 times 30 times 32, which is 60 times 32, which is 1020. I could be off. 60 times 30. 1920, yep. Cosine of A. Okay, so 784 equals, you add these two together, so 1924 minus 1920 cosine of A. Subtract 1924 from each side. So we get what? Negative 1240 equals negative 920 cosine of A. Divide by negative 1920. Cosine of A equals negative 1240 divided by negative 1920. Gets that wacky decimal. 6458. And you move the cosine to the other side. So it becomes the inverse cosine of that. So 49.8. Okay? So it's just one of those things you have to take one step at a time. Okay? Can we do this? Should we go over one more problem or are we good? We're good? Okay. So I want you guys to do the back of the worksheet now. the additional practice. So on these problems, you need to find, like on number 1, you need to find angle X and angle Y.